fact that they would fail to convert me, and I even do it while claiming that I'm showing more respect to Jesus than they are. So yeah, I don't. It's psychology and psychiatry is actually these are bad these are bad states of affairs, and yet the study of it seems so impressive to a Christian. And they always want to know, well, what was the story? If a family's targeted and there was and that you have siblings, they want to know, like, oh, was there some fooling around when they were kids, um, and that happens because what preachers don't bring into their sermons is that, well, as we have taught you this story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, we've told you that Eve ate an apple and that was wrong, but we haven't told you anything about all the inbreeding they would have had to have practiced. So because of that, I think what they would call a trigger of, like, ooh, well, let's spot the incesty ones, is implied by the preaching of that book of Genesis. So the right wing press, really, all you have to have is a sibling. I mean, some things are impossible. If you are prepubescent, you could be a kid and you look at adults, and you can kind of, I can remember going into, I think, Kmart, and I saw a curtain that I didn't realize was a change room. I'd walked in and a woman was putting on underwear, and she paused, and I was very short then, I was about 4, and like I just bowed to her as I stepped back and closed the curtain, and then I walked off. I was thinking, well, so you do to some extent get or you could be that you see a bit of a porno magazine or something. There's a sense of I think that's also expressed well in Red Dwarf, where I think it's the cat who says, this makes me feel like I want to do something, and I don't know what it is, but one day I want to do a lot of it. And I think from the viewpoint of prepubescent childhood, the whole of the human story, whatever you hear about, whatever you've learned about, you really it might as well be a cartoon you're looking at. To some extent you can't identify, but you can imagine what you want to be when you grow up. But yeah, so there's an informal alliance between the religious right and psychiatry and psychology. And psychiatry and psychology, what I've learned is that, yeah, they're using a metaphysic in the way that you would pause and sensibly consider epistemology, which is a theory on the approach to knowledge and the question of what is knowledge and how do we know that this is known, and what does this mean. And because of it, third parties are fraudulently practicing the crime of interpreting content on your behalf and going, well, this definitely merits a profile, or this person deserves to be mistreated if he believes this, and this. But yeah, they truly fail. They fail themselves to have comprehended what the material is. What I would do if I was in their shoes, in the interest of intellectual honesty, is without disclosing that such a person had any connection to any investigatory parties, is to question person on what beliefs they think are important, and before getting violent or rapey, I would, if I was an investigator like a Roger Markby, I would really try, as I said, you have an adversary, you walk a mile in their shoes, so that when you criticize them, you're a mile away and you have their shoes. And if they just think it was ridiculous, because I'm not sure if they were going through motions of going, oh, and he doesn't have any idea that we're judging him for this film, but they aren't contextualizing the voiceover correctly at all. I'm not an immortalist. I don't like money. There's a lot about life. I love life very much. But I'm not a Christian. I'm not a theist. I'm not an atheist in the sense that it was assumed in its earliest definitions to mean, which now means something called positive atheism or anti-theism. I can get anti-theistic if I'm gearing up for a debate or working on a book area of my upcoming book that strives to prove the errors of religion to you, because some other people might be interested in transcending the limitations that can be imposed or implied by religious affiliations. People are selling themselves short by believing. It's like if you had a relative who smoked heavily and knew they were getting cancer, but they didn't want it for you. So they're saying, don't follow me. Like, you can respect Jesus, but why believe in following him and going, well, I'd be prepared to suicide for this Christian cause, of apologizing for the stupid first woman eating an apple. But God's image is pedophilia and incest. It's no. What did you expect to happen in the clergy with the corruption? Like Isaiah 45:7 tells you by your own claimed integrity as Christians that your Lord created these pedophiles and placed them in your churches. And you've got pedo-like activity going on in however the human race began, with one man and one woman placed as Jim Jeffries says, in the jungle without sunscreen. What did you expect to happen? If that's called so what you learnt then from that Genesis story is kids fucking their mothers and making babies with them, siblings fucking each other and making babies with them for the sake of the survival of the race, and we call it created in the image of God. So you've learned about crime and then concealment. So, you're all wondering how many clergymen are fucking reprehensible. But what did you expect? That you taught them this story? What did you... Rolf Harris? Was he taught to have any respect for this Bible? And to believe in that Origins account? believers made this state of affairs right now, and they'll be getting excited too over climate change when you got polls and people saying they believe Jesus is going to return the next 20 years or to 50 years, and God's judgment. If we were to destroy our own environment through industrial, whatever, Christians will just think it's the preparation for God to pass His judgment and the return of Jesus, when really it's just another episode of the failure for believers to recognize the virus of faith. And so the issue here is that if Roger Toll weren't to have been the owner of this franchise, I submit to you he'd probably be in jail by now. If having done what he's done. So those of you who are aware of his prowess and successes in in commerce and in business, it's where because of, and in some proportion to, the confidence he feels from Freemasonry, perhaps force multiplied through his pioneering of this pharmacy franchise, that he feels by some mysterious coincidental relationship to him getting a greater output of the higher rebate antipsychotic meds, that he's a private eye detective. I mean, and what's the proof? I think this idea of oh, you got a bad attitude, we're going to prevent you from becoming a worse criminal. How do you know a criminal? You can tell it's backed by religious thinking, because what's your proof that you think someone's dangerous and about to do something dangerous, so you need to intervene, forcefully drug them with high rebate expensive drugs that are shit, have side effects that you don't even tell them, and Hippocrates is shitting in his grave, and then what, they pat themselves on the shoulder because the person doesn't go on to offend. That is just as equally proof that you were wrong to have intervened at all, because what's the proof that a crime preventive magical mysterious intervention method worked? Is what, they go off not to offend, but they already weren't offending anyway. You just thought they had beliefs that meant they were. Well, then you've tried to recruit them into your religious shit. That's why, Roger and Gary post you for every pocket you're dipping your hands in you're obnoxious weeds, the two of you, in Canberran society. I will prove it comprehensively, to court, to the magistrates, to Parliament, to the press. The two of you are both being made accountable for everything. You know what I mean. And you are going to realize that when you took a leap of faith and joined your church, all you did was make assumptions. There's an expression going around, assume makes an ass out of you and me, but I won't say that to you, because I already know of how at least Roger has spoken concerning my sphincter. So it was a joke talk between a friend of mine, Benny, former friend from church. We would say assume makes an ass out of you and me, but I wouldn't like to hear that talk from Roger. I think the man is fucking disgusting and a coward. He's an intellectually dishonest coward, and he's extorting, as I see it, the um, the gesture of a goodwill trust that a patient, customer slash patient, what you want to call them, who has a health ailment, one, it's in many cases it's ennobling and to be respected with a lot of sensitivity that a person even is willing to talk about or disclose a health ailment to a so-called healthcare professional, and that's got to be really, really respected. Hippocrates wrote about these ideals. Instead, you'll have Roger and Gary talk, going, "Oh, this person likes opiates," and they'll talk like a more or less like a fundamentalist Christian, trying to draw your focus away from that individual's rights to access their health rights. But it's again it's religious discrimination, but it's often undetected and it's often uncontested when it could be a lot by Canberrans, because they really need to realize, like, I don't have any respect for pharmacy staff members who are indecent about the confidentiality trust that a customer or a patron or a patient is placing, just even in a conversational exchange between themselves and a member of staff, to abuse that trust and to cross that person as soon as they've left the chemist, and oh, what a fucking junkie that was. Like, you make me sick. The patients, all in all, were more, as a collective group of people to reflect on and remember, they were better to exchange with than staff, submissive philosophically to the bigotry of Gary and Roger. They also have a Freemasonic view that, they're strong. That don't be a patient. That's what they'll tell you if you're staff. Don't be a patient. Like, you're not likely to get sick. Like, don't become sick. Yeah, no, I think that's fucked. That's definitely one reason that I left, is that Roger Toll, he's got this monarchistic view of society where there's privileged versus underprivileged, but he's very bigoted. Likes his stereotypes. Yeah, so right now there's a war on drugs, but you have to think about what drugs they're targeting, and also think about how perfect that the final solution to these problems is getting people psych warded and made to be injected with injections that make the provider $1,000 a month. At the expense of you being called schizophrenic, not knowing if you're going to harm yourself or someone else at any moment. It's ridiculous, and they can't even tell the difference between an artist, someone who's qualified and studied and excelled at school in the arts, multimedia, and things like that. I've experienced been acting or practicing singing at my home. And then, and working on tone of voice and things like that. I could sing songs that I don't even like, but that were good exercises in tone of voice. And all of a sudden, this couple of Freemason ass fuckers, Gary and Roger, are ready to say, "Oh, you must be a Christian who thinks life's a test. We'll psych ward you and da 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 da." I'm like, this is it. You've gone too fucking far. You've just about pissed in my pocket for the better part of 2 decades of my life. I wish the best for the flourishing of the business that you founded, but as the co-founders, you're to be exposed, and you're going to wind up being loathed by your own employees, because I'm telling everyone everything. You two little flaming faggots. So I'll make it clear once and fucking again, because I've noticed throughout the last 9 years that when I make direct statements concerning that, I would be prepared any day to partake in, and exchange my testimony to the magistrate's court concerning the crimes of Roger Mark B. Nelson Tall and Gary Cairns, the co-founders of Capital Chemists. They are absconding arrest and have been since the start of approximately January, February 2010. What they have often done is made sure that recorded files where I am directly discussing this matter, that I want them in court and I want them arrested. And I want those who actually think that the Pharmacist Code of Ethics means something to make Capital Chemists something that Canberra can be proud of once again. But as for the two of them, I'm making them accountable. I'm going to make sure they will be accountable for everything they've said and done. They have been reported and are known to people who are vastly more successful in business than the two of them combined could ever be. And then I have my 9 years, essentially, of testimony of having to deal with them. It really was just concentrating on the ethics of assisting the customer, and thinking of how it is more important than a supermarket, in the sense that you've got to honor the fact that these people are prepared to come forward and say, these are my health ailments, what can you do for me? And I was disgusted constantly by you're part of an underprivileged demographic view that these Freemason co-fraud founders would hold to. The patients I considered better friends, with the exception of a couple of members of staff, and they know who they were. They knew who they were because we would talk about the reality of what the job was like. So, I know they deliberately, because they thought that the voiceover of Doppelhers were morally prescriptive commandments or instructions. They thought I'm criminally minded. So that's them proving that they have no training or recognized legal qualifications in either psychology or psychiatry or detective work, but that they're instead trying to conform me to sympathizing with Freemason metaphysics, which is violation of the Australian Capital Territory's Religious Discrimination Act. And if they're that thick-headed that they can't even begin to experience that art piece that's very special, meaningful to me and to a number of friends, Um, they're going, oh, what Manson's God is saying, money is immortal. Uh, you theologians are the immortalists. I'm not an immortalist. I consider myself thoroughly agnostic concerning the afterlife. You're a hypocrite to say what it's about, because it's defined even as the afterlife. Jim Jeffries says, I'm not afraid of dying because I'm an atheist. Sam Harris says death is an illusion. Jim Jeffries says, I won't even know that I'm dead. Do you want to know why? Because I will be fucking dead. These theologians, again, it just shows, I think, the product of this beginning with inbreeding and coming up with stupid idea after stupid idea. Oh, but in the next life, we'll have immortal bodies and 72 virgins and fucking one thing or another, living in eternal. What if there's an afterlife and no God? What you can't know. It's impossible to know, and no one, I don't think, has acquired, even through strange, neural, odd and atypical sensory phenomenology. It's it's neurology. So I'm not telling you that there is no afterlife. I'm just telling you you can't. I don't think you can know, and I can't know. In this, and by definition, it doesn't have any meaning to the context of this life. So you're not even saying anything meaningful. So it's a mark of deception to have an authority figure in your employment whack shit about an afterlife. But yeah, how perfect for a pharmacy chain that claims that health, that they're supporting health rights, and with what a religious pro-incest biphobia. Yeah, cool. Have fun with that. Have fun with your Christian Abrahamic faith pro-incest biphobia. God's gonna cut you down. Now, proponents, endorsers, and members of the religious right are well aware of wrongs perpetrated by believers throughout past centuries. They're well aware that, I think it's even commonsensical in atheistic countries like Sweden. Their violent crime rates are the lowest. Over 80% identify as atheist, non-theological. So the mistake I made was confiding in those two fuckers, Gary and Roger, that religion was of no benefit to me. I had the physicality of a fucking skeleton. I could not talk to people. I could not relate to people. I felt like an actor. I had to destroy religion before I could feel love. If a person had bad luck and was, I hated the way that I was, and so a lot of Marilyn Manson's art is genius, and I completely support both him and Jonathan Davis from Korn. I consider them to be Um, the importance of their work is there are not yet adequate words to describe and account for how important that they both are, and I'm great in their debt for life. I've felt that way since about the age 12. Because of them, I felt a brotherhood sense, and I could friendship, distant friendship that was able to help me confront difficulties and obstacles in life, and to emotionally revive. And so if they want to try and play this stupid game that we contested and won already in the 90s, and bowling for Columbine, blame art, behind this veil of let's blame art for things going wrong. In terms of the case that Roger wanted to make against me, I apparently had well, if there were any sense in the indictment that he tried to peg on me during essentially a domestic invasive false accostation in February of 2010, when I was trying to medicate. What he should have done, given what I said, my terms were, I said, if you try to impose a religion on me, I will not, I cannot work for you under those circumstances. I'm interested in science. I do not think that the cornerstone or the core beauty and importance and significance of scientific methodology is mathematical modeling. I think it's intellectual honesty. And I think that the moment you take that idea and look back at your religion, your religious identity, you'll realize that this proclivity to blame art, and for what, it's senseless. And if we take money out of the equation, it's just this vapid void in which the two of you flaming faggots have yet to go to have your scientists catch up in your own minds and go, yeah, Freemasonry is not true. Every time you hold on to that stupid faith-based theological belief system, that's why you're interested in saying I have a psychologically dangerous mindset, because you think morality is a phenomenon that is that permeates out of this religious system too. Do you believe in the little red hen? Do you go to the next tier of Freemasonry, but get promoted? Now you get to pray to a little red talking hen, and your scientists as well in the year 2019. Get the fuck out of here, fucking idiots! Stupid way you misinterpreted my art. Art that is that one art piece is wiser than your entire faith. I think we've proven that already. But now to be able to inhale the whole measure of your cowardice, it's so pathetic. All you had to do was go, okay, we'll respect that Luke has confided in us enough to say religion has been the cause of a lot of trouble. So not trouble that I would go and harm anyone, but a lot of vitriol and frustrations and anguish and terror and things that I wanted to and would express in art, and I'm well disciplined and trained in conserving intense negativity for artistic product. So I don't, and I do that so that I don't. I try to make something creative out of. It's the line fail to see the tragic and turn it into magic. Um, so it's a discipline that's I take very seriously, and yeah, you know, I consider you to try and call yourselves scientists, particularly that you consider yourself scientists concerned with conflicts of the human mind, and your tools are a 16th century faggot religion. You're both just going to push error after error, and the only way you'll succeed is by technological whoredom, behaving like male whores. Oh, we can impersonate your phone calls. Oh, we can hack your phone. Oh, we can do this. Oh, we can do that. Just look at yourselves, you sit behind screens doing your research, and you're wanting to say video now is making people dangerous. Does video kill the radio star? Roger. So I've worked it out. You'll both also be drawn to messing with me as I grow my hair longer. And your love of, oh Jesus, what a stupid martyr, kill him. So I'll keep growing my hair longer, just to see how pathetic the two of you are. Like, see what it does to your propensity to further antagonize. I just want to draw you out because you're a coward. You're cowards to to confront issues and talk like adults. And for that, you are, unfortunately, you might as well have shat on your own company. I hope that managing store level managing pharmacists can make Capital Chemist something that Canberra could be proud of.
Shiva,